Good morning, team. We are back with another episode of Cajun Tiger Plays. You can see our solar sails, our Dyson Swarm in the background. I did want to point out we have magnets here, so we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Today is going to be almost an immediate jump into high-speed mode. So I don't know that we're going to get to Dyson Sphere Components and carrier rockets today. I would like to. In order to make Dyson Sphere Components, we have extra sails. We calculated that into our build. We'll need to pull in our frame material from somewhere else, but we need to make microcrystalline components so we can make processors here on this planet. Then in order to make our small carrier rockets, which will take our frame points up to take these Dyson Sphere Components up to our Dyson Sphere, we will bring in the quantum chips from the other planet. We'll also have these that we're making, and then we'll make deuterium fuel rods. In order to make those, we'll bring in the titanium alloy from another planet. We did the particle accelerator, so we'll bring in hydrogen and make the deuterium here. And then we'll also need the supermagnetic rings, which will build several arrays of things to make that. Those need the electromagnetic turbines, the electric motors, magnetic coils, all of that. So to get started, we're going to make a couple of smelting arrays of high purity silicon and another array of magnets, so that we'll be able to make all of the things. And this row here, this column right here, will work on building all of these things, and then the microcrystalline components and the processors during our high speed mode. We'll do a shout out and some other things during high speed mode that we may want to talk about. And when that's done, we'll come back and talk about making our small carrier rockets, and hopefully also, our not small carrier rockets, our Dyson Sphere Components. And then hopefully we will also be able to make our deuterium array as well. So high speed mode first. Remember, I'm adding a little bit extra here for our magnets, because remember, magnets are a 1.5 second, even though they use our 1-to-1 build template, our blueprint for 1-to-1. So high speed mode, here we go. Jump in here with our first shout out today. Yes, I said first. We'll have a couple. Today's shout out should come as no surprise to anybody who's been following the channel for a little bit. Just maybe the timing is a surprise. Today's shout out, sticking with our TV show theme, Star Trek. All versions of Star Trek. The original series, yes, I even grew up, watched a couple of episodes, not very many, of the animated series. Was thrilled when Next Generation came on the air. I've gone back and watched the first 2 seasons. Are rough, but it is still a good show. Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. Did watch the first season of Discovery and have not been able to pick that up yet. Watched the first season of Picard as well. Lower Decks was awesome. I loved Lower Decks, the poking fun at yourself idea of Star Trek, and the way they ended Lower Decks was pretty cool as well. Have not seen Prodigy yet. I've heard that it's pretty good, but have not seen that one. And Strange New Worlds, obviously, I've talked about before. I have watched it all of the seasons in order as they appeared. All of the movies that came out, we used to go see Star Trek movies as soon as they came out. Maybe not when I was a kid as much, but as I grew up and was managing my own finances and my own life, my wife and I would go watch almost every Star Trek movie as soon as it came out into the theaters, including the Kelvin timeline. I love all of the Star Trek stuff. I even watched Star Trek Section 31, and despite what everybody said, I didn't think it was that awful. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that awful. But Star Trek has been a mainstay of my sci-fi basis and experience in life Much more of a Star Trek person than I am a Star Wars person, but I guess, as Han Solo would say, I'm just not a fan of some mystical force that makes everything okay. So I prefer Star Trek where we have to work it out and come to a better future because of all the hard work we put in. But, you know, I have friends who love Star Wars, and they are still good friends. What about you? Did you watch Star Trek? What was your favorite series? I think I would have to say that with probably Deep Space Nine coming in as a close second, I have to say I'm just a real big fan of the original Next Generation. Loved the show. It just scratched an itch when it came back on the air in '87 that I had been watching original series with my dad, and Next Generation felt very, very, very much like the original Star Trek, and it felt good. I do have a soft spot for Enterprise as well. Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula is one of my favorite actors of all times, and of course Lower Decks. It's kind of a different category, but it was great also. So, what was your favorite Star Trek of all time? Did you like Voyager, Enterprise? Did you watch Discovery? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments, and we'll talk more in just a little bit. We'll jump in here with another little comment as we watch things go along in the background. I am currently looking at our milestones. We have a handful that we could accomplish easily right away, including our power storage. We've got accumulators, we just haven't switched them on to provide power for our system. We can do that pretty easily. We also have fusion power, that we are going to be able to do soon. We don't quite have the deuterium fuel rods that we need for fusion power, but we'll get that set up pretty easily. We're researching our white science in just a little bit, and we know how to get the unipolar magnets. We'll look at the map in an upcoming episode and see those. We are waiting on, we need some things to we've got the research set, but we need some things to unlock before we'll be able to actually create an artificial star. We also need our critical photons, which is what we're going to need to create I believe what we need to create our universe matrix, the white science, and that will let us get antimatter. Actually, I think antimatter is what we need for the white science, but it comes from critical photons. Then we have our Dyson shell, our Dyson Sphere cell, and our rocket launch, which we are going to be working on in our next episode. So we are getting very close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these, and it looks like we could probably in the next episode or two knock out all but maybe 2 of them. So that's great news for our dashboard, or for our milestones, and then we'll look at our technologies as well soon as we update what we're researching. And of course, I am recording this after the end of this episode, so if I add technologies later in the episode, that's why I said we're already researching them. And then we are working on getting our Dyson Sphere built. So those are the big things that are left in our list of things to do. The technologies is going to be a little bit interesting. We definitely want to do some of our white science technologies. What I don't know is if we'll spend a lot of time doing all of the dark fog combat technologies that we can possibly do. I'm not positive if we're going to waste time in doing those or if we'll just dedicate ourselves to white science once we get everything else researched. We'll look at it as we go forward. In the next episode or two, we are going to be getting our frames built and getting our Dyson Sphere going, and like I said, we may end up with a high-speed montage episode where we listen to some music and watch the Dyson Sphere being built for a while. But for now, we are working on the rockets and the sails and everything we need to build that Dyson Sphere. And as soon as it's building, we will work on some of these other milestones that we talked about and get those completed as much as we can, and then hopefully finish all of them before we're done with our episodes of this game, and when we're ready to move on to something else. Okay, we're going to jump in live here because we want to build some things before we head back to the other planet, and I wanted to talk about it. So let's grab some fuel, grab all the stone out of there. We will get steel, a little bit of glass, and we're going to grab these things here and all the silicon. And we want to try and build 10 ray receivers. This will hopefully help some of our power issues on the other planet. Maybe not help everything, but at least some of them will be alleviated if we can build some ray receivers. So we will tuck away all of our stuff that we don't need for this particular trip back to the other planet. I am going to grab a few of these and all of those belts, and we'll just take and put those in here, and we'll move these guys into here, top off our mech, and then we can put the rest in our storage facility. All right, looks like we're doing good for everything else. Let's go grab some more foundations just in case we need them. We'll grab a lot. We shouldn't need too many. Then we'll come back here and grab more drones. And how many of our sorters? 150. That's not too bad. All right, let's head back to Pyxidis II. You can see our nice Dyson swarm is forming well, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and get the ray receivers. Let's see, can we get there without too much trouble? There we go. We are running low on our internal energy, but we'll be all right. Okay, so let's see. There's our build there. Let's find where we need to go for our missing components. Here we are. Get this. We will get this build done, and then we will do a quick build. This is going to be a 3-item build, but it's not going to be like normal because it's needs 3 of each resource that it makes. So if we take 3 and multiply it by our 0.75 and divide by 8, then that gives us 0.28125. 12 divided by 0.28125 is 42. But we know that our belts are sharing on these. It's 42.6, so 43. But we know our belts are sharing, so it would be 22 on each side for this. So we're going to finish up these builds, get this one built as well in high speed mode, and then I will be back after that, and we'll put out our ray receivers because power is currently okay, but it's fixing to not be as soon as we finish building all of this stuff. So back into high speed mode. Now that we've built we will have finished building our ray receivers by the time we're done building all of this, and we'll talk about ray receivers at that time. So high speed mode, here we go. Okay, I did want to jump in here and make a couple of comments while we have a minute. I am not building towards full belts. Normally we would try to build full belts, or we would try to output enough so that we have full belts when we're done. We are building for our vertical launch silos, and we'll talk about that in later this episode or in the next episode, but they launch 5 per minute. We are trying to get 2 per second. So that'll give us 120, and that'll take care of the 300 or the 36 vertical launchers that we have. But we are not building so that we have a full belt of the rockets that we need to launch. Just enough to get us by, which is why when we look at some of our arrays here, we're not going to see things moving very quickly because the source materials are not built to have full belts. It's okay, that is on purpose. I did do a little bit more detailed calculations outside of the game for that. All right, we'll jump back live. We are going to make some deuterium in just a minute, but before we do that, those particle colliders, if you look at the numbers, they use quite a bit of energy. They take 12 megawatts. So rather than overload our power grid right away, we'll go ahead and build these guys. We're going to listen to the advisor on the first one that we build, and we'll talk about what he's saying afterwards.
You've built a ray receiver. It can receive high-energy rays from the Dyson Sphere and directly transmit them into the power grid. However, due to limited receiving efficiency, the ray receiver will request greater input power than the actual output. You can improve the receiving efficiency by continuously running it or upgrading technologies.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is the longer we continuously run, the higher percentage this goes up, the more output we'll get from the ray receiver. Now, what's great about having a tidally locked world is we can put our ray receivers here. They are never not facing the Dyson swarm. See, the strength is set to 100%. If the planet were actually rotating and it wasn't tidally locked, eventually they would turn away and not be able to see the Dyson swarm, or the Dyson sphere, as the case may be. So we wouldn't get power, and the percentages would go down, and things wouldn't be as great as we can get them. So the beauty of having this tidally locked world means that we get more power. So you see the requested power and all the numbers there. We can also turn these on for photon generation. We won't do that here, but we will do that on our home world because we'll need those photons to generate the white science that we need to build. So if we watch this number, you'll see the megawatts slowly going up, and as they go up, the amount of power provided by the ray receivers will creep up, and eventually we may even be able to get rid of some of our solar panels, keep us at 100% efficiency. All right, before we build our next stuff, let's jump into our technologies. We are going to go ahead and research white science, and then we are going to research another level of our Dyson Sphere stress system, which gives us 15% more. Controlled annihilation and artificial star. We'll get those on our queue. Let's see, what do we have down here? This is the antimatter capsule. We can't research that yet, and that's because all of this stuff that we don't necessarily need, we will set that up maybe later. For now, we're going to jump back over here to the upgrades, and we're going to get more attaching speed here, and we'll get more of the ray transmission effect. Our queues are full, but we can get one more of those before we run out of what we can research here. And everything else after that, I believe, is all going to be white science, except for the dark swarm stuff that we did not do this time. So, yeah, so we'll look at that in a little bit. Hopefully by then we'll have white science going. In order to get there, we are going to need some deuterium. So let's get back over here to the other side of the planet. We have just a little bit of time left. Hopefully it will be enough for us to build our deuterium. And I went the wrong way, but that's okay. It all ends up in the same place on a globe. Doesn't matter where you start, it all ends up in the same place. You end up where you started. Okay, so here we are. We've done this before, and we probably could have set this up as a recipe, but we didn't. We're going to build 2 arrays, I believe, doing the oh goodness, what's it called? Deuterium. I am double checking my notes. Let's see. We want lots of deuterium. We need 80 per second, which is way more than 2 belts. So let's see, 80 divided by 12, that is 6 2/3 belts. So we're going to need lots of deuterium. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll set up our normal standard situation here, and we're going to put a belt for deuterium going in, and then we'll bring a belt for hydrogen coming out here. We've done this before, so you guys have seen it. I'm going to go ahead and build it real quick, and then we'll build the first parts of it anyway real quick, and we'll jump into high-speed mode to finish it out, because you guys have seen this before. So let's put hydrogen in and deuterium out, put our bots, our drones in there, and set that up for demand. We should see hydrogen coming in quickly. And put our Tesla tower, well, that's annoying. Okay, that's all right. We'll put it there. Okay, and then we'll do our particle colliders. And we've done, like I said, we've done this before. Let's turn them around facing this way. One there and one there. And then we'll have a second belt of hydrogen coming in on the outside. Oops. We will try to have a second belt of hydrogen. There we go. Coming on the outside. And the reason is because if we did the formula and figured everything out, we would see that one belt can feed 3 miniature particle colliders. That's not very many. So because it's so small, we'll use 2 belts instead, and that will give us a full belt of deuterium. So this gives us 1 build, will give us 2 full belts of deuterium. Let's see, we are going to run out of sorters again at some point soon. Let's put our hydrogen in and take our deuterium out. Hydrogen in, deuterium out, and then again hydrogen in from the outside as well. And this is an easy one because we can actually look here and see this recipe. 10 hydrogen and 5 deuterium. So we know if we're sending a full belt in, we're getting half a belt out. So if we're sending 2 belts in, we're getting 1 belt out. So yeah, let's see. If we build there, is that going to cover everybody? Yes, it will. Okay. So that's good. So then we want 6 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get a little bit more foundations. There. And then we can build our belts. So we'll jump into high-speed mode to finish this out. And then we will, because we need 6.5, 6 2/3, we will copy this over several times. Like we've talked about, these are not necessarily built to be exact, but we'll copy it over 3 more times and we'll have enough to cover everything we need. So we'll be back after another high-speed mode. Jumping in one last time, I wanted to give one final extra shout out All of the music in today's episode is by a creator named Jeff Harvey. There's links for his YouTube channel and for his website, which he has with a friend called Purple Planet Music. If you enjoyed the music, go out and check it out. Jeff is really good creator. I found him on Pyxidis and happened upon his YouTube channel and just fell in love with some of the music, and that's why I featured it today in this episode. So if you have enjoyed this music, I kind of felt bad talking over some of it because it's just so beautiful. So if you enjoyed the music, go give Jeff a follow and a like. He doesn't know that I'm doing this. I don't know if he even knows that I exist, because when I found the music, this video is not going to publish for a couple weeks. But Jeff's a great creator. I love this music. It sounds wonderful, and I will definitely be using more of his music in the future. So thanks, Jeff, for the awesome music. And you guys go out and give Jeff a like and a follow and listen to his music. It's pretty cool stuff. Back live, and this has never happened before, but yeah, I goofed up. Okay, so I had done a high-speed video and forgot to actually enter the values to speed up the time frame. So when I was looking at the numbers of how long did we have left to go in this episode, I was off by about 4 or 5 minutes. So with that in mind, we're going to keep going. And we will go to our next build, which is building the deuterium fuel rods, which is a 3-item build using a lot of deuterium. So we'll use our same assembler build that we've used before. Oops, that way. And rotate him around and try to place him correctly this time to avoid the mistakes I made up here. Please don't look at the mistakes I made up here, because everything's not lined up just right, and it will bother me in the long run, but I also know we're trying to get something done here, so we're going to ignore it as best as we can for now. All right, that's okay. Let's see, we want to make deuterium fuel rods, and with these, we talked about it earlier in one of the shout outs, or one of the high-speed moments. We will be able to make our nuclear power as well, so that will be a good thing. Let's see, where's this one, and put deuterium fuel rods here. What's the last thing we need is the supermagnetic rings. Let's turn these guys on for demand, let them start filling up. Give ourselves some bots, some drones, and a little bit of power. Oh yeah, we gotta fix this guy. All right. It's coming. Okay, it's coming. There we go. Let's copy that recipe over to everybody, and I did the math for this, and we need 9.6, so we'll just build a full 10. And like normal, that last one won't necessarily be running all the time, but it's okay. We'll get this built, and it's probably going to be all we have time for today. I'm actually not sure. We might go over time a little bit after my mistakes from earlier. So again, I think the theme of my channel is you don't have to be perfect. You can still have fun. So we're trying to be as efficient as we can, trying to do things as best as we can, but sometimes, you know, that just doesn't work, and we struggle with it. So we'll still have fun though. So hopefully you're having fun watching the videos. I definitely am having fun playing. I'm excited to get my Dyson Sphere going and see that done and see our milestones get accomplished. We will definitely be able to do that soon. We probably can add actually, I was thinking about adding some, we're going to run out of assemblers of all things. Wow, I thought we had plenty, but we don't. We are going to run out. Okay, that's okay. We'll update that in our next episode as well. I was thinking we would be able to use our deuterium here, and we would be able to augment what we're building, or the power on this planet by doing a couple nuclear reactors here, probably doing the same type of thing on our home world, just to build a little bit of deuterium. I would build our other assembler, but we don't have any assemblers. Our other assembly line, but we don't have any assemblers, so it's going to be hard to build an assembly line if we don't have any assemblers. So we will get our foundations down. We can drop our template. So for our carrier rockets, we want the deuterium to be the primary source, and everything else is flowing from that. But it is also a 3-item build. So we can drop that one here. That's going to be a little too close, so we'll have to come out just a little bit. Yeah, I don't think we can build there. That's we probably can get away with it, but it's too close. I think we would rather just take a little bit of extra space. We have space on this world, so we can go ahead and build that. And now we've got tons of things that we're missing. Mostly, oh well, I guess if we upgrade our belts, yeah, it's just the 16. Now this one is a little bit different. It is going to need actually need a full 24. So that gets us 15 to there, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we're going to need a little bit more in the way of foundations, and that should give us at least a guideline for running our belts out. Just run them all. We'll just run them all the way, and we can clean them up later. Get these belts run, and we'll call it an episode. Get the belts. Well, we'll get the belts, and we'll get our planetary logistics station set up so that he can start working on things. And then in our next episode, we will head back to our home planet so that we can get the assemblers that we need to finish this build, and then we will come back, finish the build, do our vertical launchers, and see how that affects our Dyson Sphere build, and then we'll start working on our milestones while our Dyson Sphere is building. So let's put a Tesla tower here for this guy, and we want to make carrier rockets here, and in order to do carrier rockets, our big number is the deuterium fuel rod, so we'll put that one first. Then we need the Dyson Sphere components, and finally we need the quantum chips that we're getting from the other planet. We're shipping those in. So build all of those. Let's get this all finished up, put our drones in, and there we go. This will start working. We're going to cheat just a little bit. Let's grab 50. Oops. I'm going to try to cheat just a little bit. Well, it's not. Oh, there's none in there. You have to wait till they actually show up before you can take any. They're gonna empty out too quickly for us to take from there. Let's see, can we get them from here? Nope. They're gonna take too long. So before we head back to the other planet, we will grab some of them so that we can manually run. We can knock out a milestone for our nuclear power. All right, let the drones finish these guys, and then we'll just have to put the assemblers in and the Tesla towers to power them once we come back, and we will see our rockets start getting created. Again, we're doing 2 per second because the vertical silos only launch 5. We could proliferate and we would get more. I think if we proliferate, we get 10 per minute instead of just 5. So we'll grab some out of here until we get 50. There we go. Now we have 50 of those. All right, now we're ready. We will head back to our other planet in our next episode and get what we need to finish up here. and hopefully see our Dyson Sphere start building. Let's come out and look at all of those solar sails. We'll look at our power production real quick, see our 20% from our array receivers up to 150 megawatts, and our sufficiency is looking really good. Of course, some of the things aren't necessarily building, but even still, this looks really good. Oh yeah, the other thing that, since we have a little bit of extra time, we can go ahead, now that we have our cosmic viewing filled out, we can see all the way to this neutron star, which is where we said we would need to go to get the unipolar magnets. So we definitely will be able to do that as well. That's one of our milestones. So coming soon, vertical rocket silos and some milestones and some technology. We're getting an occasional red flicker there, so we'll check on that when we go back to our home world too and get everything set up and ready to go. Until then, remember players, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Keep building, team.